from the castle gates to bedtime tales, laughs on the road and the monorail meet up on Main Street. Or Epcot to raise a glass and clink, telling old trip stories over one more drink. DisDad intro, here we go, talking parks, kids, all the magic we know. DisDad intro, hit play, let's start the show. Hey, DisDad intro.
Welcome to DisDad Intros, the show where we get to know the voices, stories, and Disney passions behind the DisDad Club. I'm your host, Justin West, fellow dad, Disney fan, and proud member of this incredible community of fathers who love their families, and maybe just happen to love a good Dole Whip too. This is DisDad Intros, and let's meet today's guest, Mike McCabe. How you doing, Mike?
Good. Justin, how are you?
Excellent, excellent. Enjoying summertime. Summertime. It's I live in the northern Midwest, and I don't really love the winters, so summer's good.
Yeah, I don't miss that either.
So Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and about your family and stuff situation.
Sure. Originally, Chicagoan. My wife and I are Chicagoans. Both our kids were born in Chicago. We transferred down to the Nashville area in 2021, career-wise, job purposes. We've been down here ever since in the Nashville area. Been married, gonna be 33 years in December. Got two kids, Kelly and Sean. They're both adults. So Kelly's gonna be 32 in November. Our son Sean's turning 29 here in July. And we got three grandkids, a 4-year-old little Spitfire that I call Karma, our granddaughter, and two-year-old twin boys that keep us hopping.
Awesome. Sounds like they're keeping you busy.
Yeah.
So Mike, I think I know you're retired, but tell us about what you did before you transitioned into the fun part of life.
Well, actually, when I think back at it, I was in the McDonald's system for my entire career. Started out in high school flipping burgers because they had very flexible hours for guys that played sports. Was a restaurant manager going through college, and then pretty much worked at two places, had long tenures at both that were suppliers, equipment suppliers to McDonald's and other restaurant customers. But my mom, rest her soul, used to always love, she'd tell her friends, if it wasn't for McDonald's, I don't think he'd ever made $1 in his life. But because he's been tied to that, was recognized once at one of their worldwide conventions for being in their system for 45 years plus, which was kind of cool. The companies I work for didn't make the ice cream machines, even though a lot of the dads like to give me crap every time they stop and the shaker Sunday machine's not working. I get a message and like it's my fault. But so that's what I did. I worked, kind of started my career out on the operations and supply chain side. Middle of the career was on the sales and marketing, and then finished the career back on the supply side and operations.
Sounds like a full career. I can say one of my high school jobs was at McDonald's for probably 6 months, and I had a blast.
I'll be honest with you, it's kind of where everybody worked. You met kids from other high schools and everything else. So back then it was an okay job to have as a high school kid.
Sure, everybody's gotta get their wings in the working force in some way or another.
Yeah.
So all right, enough about work.
Yeah.
So, Mike, where did you discover the DisDads, and how long ago was that?
So I discovered the DisDads on the Disboards. So I go back to the Disboards days. I was actually on the Disboards. We'd been to Disney World several times, but I was on the Disboards. We were getting ready to take a Disney cruise. So I was out on the Disboards looking at, okay, what are tips, and just saw in the family section DisDads and sent it in. So that had to be just under 15-ish years ago, I want to say, maybe 12, maybe 13, 14, right in there. I tried to find the exact date and I couldn't, but so I've been around for a bit. So that's how I originally found them, was through the Disboards. And
like a lot of us who've been around, I also have tried to dig back through that website a little bit to try to find some of the beginnings of when all I know, it's been a long time. I don't.
Yeah, I know my number is 737, and I think Malvin Carroll's was 738. And we laugh how we joined at about the same time and really didn't get to know each other until like the last 6 years. So
Yeah, yeah. So, well, it all happens. I think we all have. I know. For me, really, I've always been a part and enjoyed, making friends and stuff. But there's certainly times where I haven't been as involved, and life gets busy. But
Yeah, for sure.
so
It's a little easier for a retired guy with kids grown and out of the house to engage.
yeah. Well, it's a good place. You can always come back to. So
Yeah.
So you mentioned you had taken some trips before that. When did you first go to Disney?
So first went, I'll do it with our family. I went once as a kid in 76. That was my only time there then. But we went in 1998 was our first family trip. I was at a business convention in Coronado Springs. Our son Sean was 7 months old. So his first trip, he was 7 months. And at the time, Kelly was 2 years old. So figured, all right, this is kind of an inexpensive way for a vacation. My flight's covered, hotels covered, let's go to Disney. And then we went again in 2000. And that's when it really stuck in for us, was in 2000 when the kids were just a little bit older, but you got to enjoy that magic of the little kids going.
Okay, sure. So when you would say that was probably when your love of Disney was born.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys will crack. We were sitting at Dawa Bar. And it's actually not where Dawa Bar is at now, but when it was over by like the check-in for Tusker House, where that's at now, because Festival of Lion King wasn't there back
Right.
then. It was where Avatar's at. And we were just sitting on that little curb in a chair along at the edge of Dawa Bar with Mickey's Jingle Jammin' parade coming through on our last day. And the wife and I just looked at each other and says, this has been an awfully great time. And we need to keep doing this. So,
There you
and we're
go.
DVC members now. It took me a while to talk the wife into taking that first DVC plunge. But yeah, we're DVC members now. We own 3 resorts. I know it's one of the, I'm there. I've been averaging lately 4 times a year.
Okay.
So and that includes DDCC, but my wife and I now, we're taking at least once a year, just an us trip, which that's been pretty cool being able to start doing that with the kids being older and grown and out of the house and such.
I keep trying to talk my wife into that. Maybe when the youngest one gets out of high school, then she'll agree to that. But we both love it. But she always feels like we're cheating the kids. And
guess what?
I tell her all the time, our kids have never not been cheated out of anything.
Yeah,
so.
we don't, because we still take them too.
So what would you then say is your best memory at Disney World?
Wow, they differ. I think the one that I think back to most was our son Sean was into Peter Pan, more Captain Hook than Peter Pan. He had the Captain Hook costumes, when he was 4 and 5, and the hooks and the swords. And we actually had a seat on the hub for the daytime parade, and he wasn't really paying attention. And Peter Pan float came by, and Captain Hook snuck up on us, and I saw him coming. My son was looking the other way, and my son turning, and just eyes popped out of his head. And they actually grabbed my wife and him to it's when they used to interact, and took him out into the parade a little bit to kind of dance around and everything. And I'll never forget the grin. Like, just the dazed grin he had for like an hour after that.
Those are the kind of interactions that you don't get pretty much anywhere else.
Yeah. Yes.
So do you have a favorite park?
I've seen some of the other dads. That's like asking who your favorite child or grandchild is. I would say these days, I go with Animal Kingdom. To me, it's the atmosphere. Yeah, it's a half-day park to some. Yeah, Terry calls it the best park. I like the theming. I think it's a slower pace than some of the other parks. I mean, Epcot can be a pretty slow pace too, but and it depends on who we're with, because we're gonna like in end of August, the wife and I are going. We will spend more time at the pool and the resorts hanging out than we will at the parks, but we won't even hit Magic Kingdom that week. Just won't. But then we're going back in November during Christmas with both kids, all 3 grandkids, the whole family, and we're staying at Poly, so that'll be a Magic Kingdom heavy trip.
For sure.
But I would say overall Animal Kingdom.
Okay. Do you have a favorite ride at this point?
I love Pirates, because I remember that as a kid. That was believe it or not, Pirates and the Treehouse of Swiss Family Robinson when I was 11, coming back from Disney. Those were the ones that stuck with me as just unbelievable. I like the movie Swiss Family Robinson, but when you're 11, that Treehouse is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Everest. I think it's underrated a little bit. Guardians is up there. Obviously, that's a great ride. Those would be the three: Pirates, Everest, Guardians.
Okay, cool. Well, the this one is a difficult. I know for me it's a difficult question because there's so many, and so the question is, what's your favorite food item, drink, or restaurant? You could name one of each. You could whatever. I know there it's a wide ranging question, but there's so many options.
I would have to say Boathouse is probably our family's favorite place to go.
Get a little bit of the Gibsons.
Yes. Yep. Not being in Chicago anymore. We like it for both a sit down, nice steak dinner. My wife and I like, if it's just the two of us, or even the last trip in May, our son was with us. Three of us found 3 seats at the bar. We ordered some small plates, had a couple of drinks. We were watching some baseball. So a lot of things at Boathouse. Probably to most guys that follow this or know me, Dawa Bar and their Bloody Mary to me is one of the best drinks on property. I think I like that Bloody Mary. I like a lot of the different old fashions at the different bars. I like to get the recipes too and duplicate them here at home. That's another fun thing about being retired. You can become a little bit more of a mixologist and work on those things. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Flip a coin between several places, but
Sure.
I would say Boathouse is our favorite place to eat. I love Dawa. I like the Bloody Mary, and I like sampling some of the different old fashions around proper.
I drove an hour and a plus from Manatee, Florida, on a business trip just to go eat dinner by myself at Boathouse. So I can appreciate that answer.
And we didn't rehearse that, guys. That just, yep.
So if there's one thing or at Disney, like a ride or an experience or something that you could change or bring back or enhance, what would that be? I'm trying to steer this question away from make it cheaper and
Okay.
And that because I think we all want to go back to when it didn't cost as much and we could get the paper fast passes and do 23 rides in a day or whatever.
Well, based on the news of this week, I'd like to see him bring back the gingerbread house at Grand Floridian because we've got some great memories there. I think we've been there 4 times during the holidays prior to this upcoming trip. We're a big Christmas family. And we decorate to the hilt. So that's a little disappointing that something that was a tradition like that for 25 years, they're just kind of cannon.
Yeah, it's like the Osborne lights, and you know why they got rid of that, and things,
I mean, I get they need change, but okay, Osborne lights, as you said, move it to Epcot, or if they needed the space to to do a new land or
Disney
whatever.
Springs.
Yeah, so I understand change, and they got a different stuff, but that one this week, I very, very rarely post on social media. I hit a couple of the sites there. I was like, yeah, this is pretty crappy. I'd like to see them. I know I'm going to sound like an animal king. That's all. But bringing back some kind of parade, Mickey's Jungle Jammin' Parade. We got great memories of that with our kids. Maybe do, I don't know, some kind of sunset show with drones over that big waste of water that you can at least see from the tree. I don't know what the answer is, but something that extends that, especially once they get done with the new South America section and things like that. Once there are now enough attractions to spend time there, something, I get that they can't, do fireworks and stuff with the animals, but something like that too. I'd like to see them bring back / enhance. But yeah, this week it's the gingerbread house for sure.
Yeah, sometimes we're kind of hit by the moment of when we're talking and
Yeah.
when they decide to get rid of something that has been a part of your family traditions, it stings just a bit worse.
Yes, for sure.
So outside of Disney, do you have any hobbies that you enjoy?
Yeah, I used to play golf. Was looking forward to that in retirement. Had an unfortunate accident with some spinal injury stuff. So swinging golf clubs is not my anytime future. I like gardening in the yard, taking care of the pruning, the trimming, the feeding, keeping things watered. And we've got a lot of landscaping, so I enjoy that. Obviously, a grandfather. I'm retired, but you could kind of say I'm under new management as opposed to being retired. So that and I know one of your other questions has been too is, so this might overflow with something. My son and I are huge Star Wars fans. You could call us Star Wars nerds if you wanted to. We'll be going to Star Wars Celebration next April in Los Angeles, which is their convention, which will be the 50th year of Star Wars. We have a significantly large action figure collection. We took over an entire bedroom of our house. That's the only things in it. Shelves lined, tons. I mean, the last count we had, we're close to 4,000 action figures.
We might need a video tour of that at some point.
I did one once for a couple of guys because they're like, well, what is that? I'm like, but yeah, man, that's something I could do.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So, and again,
right,
grandkids and family, that's the retirement hobby right now.
That'll keep you busy, and it's a fun thing for sure. So you mentioned you're a regular visitor at this point about 4 times a year, and you mentioned DDCC, so that's what I'm going to jump to now. When did you first go to a DDCC?
My first one was DDCC 7, and I've been to all of them since except the one COVID one.
Awesome.
So what does that make it? 7, 8, 9. No, I missed 9. So 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I've been to 7 of the last 8.
Regular. So I assume then we'll see you at the next one.
Yes, I will be at the next one without
Awesome.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
So I'm kind of gearing this then. Do you have a favorite memory from a DDCC that you're willing to allow to be posted out loud?
So my first DDCC, I booked late, wasn't going to go, was planning on it at some point, and unfortunately CJ passed in that fall of that, and him and I had a little bit of a connection just because our daughters were the same age. They were starting college. We never met. And when that happened, my wife looked at me and goes, you know what? You never got to meet that guy. And she says, you're going. She said, just go. She's like, screw work, screw this guy. Go. So I booked late, and Jason Paulus and I were at, I forget, not All-Star, one of the All-Stars. And there was 2 favorite memories there. The first one, I got to Hollywood Studios the day I flew in, and big group of guys. And all of a sudden, I think it was DVC started it. They wanted to go to Frozen to do the Frozen sing-along. I'm kind of thinking, came all the way down here to meet with a bunch of guys, and we're going to go sit at the Frozen sing-along. Okay. Darcy McKillop and Scott Stradman. Scott's line was, I don't go to that effing attraction with my wife and daughters. I'm not going in there with you guys. And Darcy was like, I'm not going in there. They're like, yeah, we're going for a beer. And I just went, I'm going with them. So that was kind of a funny. And the other one, we're going to throw Kevin Conrad under the bus. We were waiting in line. It's when for Rise of the Resistance. Remember, you had to be in the park, and you had to be in the park, and you had to scan in to get your, to get the queue for that and everything else. And it's the first time I ever met Kevin. And Kevin looks at me and he goes, did you feel that? Like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, the ground moved. I'm thinking, all right, he's just yanking with the new guy, right? He had a few cocktails the night before with Colin, and they were so hungover. Kevin thought the ground was shifting while we were standing in that queue. So those are some of the stories. I mean, a lot of different memories. Carl, the one year on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, we got 25 guys in line, all in matching shirts, and Carl was like behind, and he's trying to get through the line and catch up with us, and all the guys start chanting, Carl, Carl, Carl. If anybody ever hears that, that's what it is, like the seagulls from Emo. And this lady finally yells out at everybody, would somebody just let him through so these guys shut the hell up? But the other ones are dad seeing a senior who's celebrating their birthday, and we stop and sing happy birthday in the middle of the park. And people are just like, wow, those guys are kind of cool. Or seeing a little kid with celebrating their birthday and singing happy birthday to him in a queue. Those are some of the really cool stuff, along with all the stuff the guys do for Give Kids the World.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun and hijinks, but there's also a lot of wholesome moments that make it, there's something for everybody there. So
for sure.
If you have one plea to somebody who hasn't been to a DDCC to encourage them to come, what would you say to them?
One, feel free to reach out to the group on the Facebook page if you got questions. I know we put out an FAQ to try to help people maybe understand it a little better. I took a leap of faith. I didn't know any of the guys. I knew them through conversations on the Diz boards. I wasn't even on the Facebook page yet. I was still just in the Diz boards with everybody. Tons of friends. I mean, the group, probably some of my best friends. Guys don't only meet up at Disney World now. Guys seem to fly into cities to visit each other. Guys' families are meeting up with families. I've done some of that and found some really, really great friends. And you can't get those really tight relationships, I don't think, just through Facebook and social media. DDCC is where you can really get to know some of the guys. And if you're part of our group, you already got a lot in common. You love family and you're a dad and you love Disney. So that's a pretty good starting point to create some friendships from.
For sure. I can't agree more. And if you're worried about it, you don't have to be a part of the group the whole time. You could come down on your own. You could do one of the meetups, kind of feel it out. You can come with your family so you're not alone. There's a few different ways to skin that cat. And so I just know that not very many of us bite. So,
yeah, I mean, it was a great welcoming group. And Justin, you hit it on the head. You don't have to hang out with guys 24/7. You can meet up at different times. Times are tough at young families. Fine, come down with your family, and maybe you sneak off and do a meetup or two while you're there to get to know a couple of guys and feel like Justin, like you said, feel it out too. There's been a lot of guys that do that. They go down with their families at that time of year, and they stop by and say hello, or they'll bring their family to a group dinner or the group picnic or whatever that's going on. So yeah, there's multiple ways to do it. You don't have to jump in and 24/7 hang out with everybody.
Awesome. Well, Mike, I want to thank you for joining me. Wait, I got one more question. Do you have one interesting fact or something that most people in the group might not know about that you could share with us?
Maybe being the huge Star Wars fan, that might be something a lot of guys don't know.
It's a tough question. I know a lot of it's hard to.
I'm trying to think. I think for a newer guy, that's a question that could easily. I think for some of us old farts, I know Darcy referenced me as the old guy, even though Darcy's older than me on his interview. So I'm getting back at him there for that one. I don't have. Was an all-state soccer player in high school. I guess a lot of guys don't know that one. I think Dan from England does, because he's like, well, wait a minute, you're an American that kind of understands the game a little bit. But that, and just being a Star Wars nerd, geek, whatever you want to call it, a big Star Wars fan. Probably a lot of guys don't know.
If you don't know Mike, he has good taste in bourbon and cigars.
I try to. I will defer to Scott Stradman on the bourbons.
Everybody has their own taste. So
yes, but yes, I try to help guys out. I try to help guys out with cigars. Another advantage of being retired is starting to pair what cigar goes good with what bourbon.
There you go. So, well, Mike, I want to thank you for joining me today and letting the group get to know you a little better. So for Mike, I'm Justin. This has been another DisDad Intros.
Thanks, Justin. Great job.
From the castle gates to bedtime tales, laughs on the road and the monorail. Meet up on Main Street or Epcot to raise a glass and clink, telling old trip stories over one more drink.